What is up everybody, it is LeakyTapsMan with another wishlist video for you, and this week we are going to do Dragon Age 3. Okay, so Dragon Age Origins was probably my favourite WRPG this generation, but Dragon Age 2, by comparison, was absolute trash. Not that Dragon Age 2 was a bad game, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it, but it is nowhere near as good as Origins. So for Dragon Age 3, here's a list of the things here's a tiny little list of what I would like reverted back to Origins rather than Dragon Age 2, and they are the following. Dialogue, get rid of the wheel. This is not Mass Effect. Bioware tried to change it into Mass Effect with Dragon Age 2. Give us some dialogue options where we know exactly what we're saying, not just the general gist of it, and give us the element of unpredictability back in terms of the response, because in Dragon Age 2 we always knew whether we'd garner a positive or negative or neutral response, and I preferred it in the first one where we might have said something we thought was going to be interpreted positively and might not have been. I like that whole aspect far better. Combat doesn't necessarily need to go back to Origins, but I think the whole hack and slash mentality of the second game needs to go. Maybe a compromise of the two. So Dragon Age 2 style where you're using the button to hit with your melee, but the actual pace of the combat might be a bit slower. Party customization needs to go back to the way it was, because there is not enough options in the second Dragon Age, and the fact that you can't even change your armor for your allies is kind of baffling. Just give us far more options for class creation and really give us the ability to mix and match like we could in the first. One thing that they took out for the second one, which I really couldn't comprehend, is the fact that we can't play as other races. I appreciate Hawk as a character and trying to give the main character some real personality, but I honestly preferred the Origins aspect where you kind of knew your background and played through the Origins, and there were 6 different options, and it really felt much better. And for a game that gives this illusion that you've got so much choice to kind of play as Hawk and nobody else seemed a bit hypocritical, in my opinion anyway. And my final thing in terms of reverting back to the Origin style is, do not base the game on just saving one city, because come on, it's a freaking RPG. When have you ever just tried to save one city in a game? You're meant to be saving the world. I know Dragon Age 2 had a lot of time constraints with development, but seriously, for Dragon Age 3 they need to up their game and make it far more expansive. I'd say for the third, more challenging fights are a must. Even on Nightmare difficulty, Dragon Age 2 was insanely easy. Give us some smarter enemies, not just guys that have insane amounts of health, but ones where you really have to think about your tactics, and not just wave after wave of enemy spawns, which is what they seem to have adopted, because Dragon Age is capable of giving us some great tactical battles, but it really didn't reach its potential. I'd also say, make the choices actually matter, because a lot of these choices that we supposedly make, they just seem to have the same outcome every time, and you feel like I may as well not have made that choice because the outcome would have been more or less the same. So give us some earth-shattering choices and make multiple playthroughs actually feel a lot different to the previous ones. It gives the game so much replayability, and giving some weight to your decisions makes the player feel more involved and more important. Now for multiplayer, I'm not a huge advocate of including multiplayer in Dragon Age, but if they do, which has been rumoured, I think they should go down the whole co-op route rather than competitive multiplayer like has been rumoured. I think something akin to Mass Effect 3's co-op, where they have a bunch of side missions that don't affect the main story, but in their own right are very playable missions. I think the whole battle system would work really well in co-op. Fighting massive dragons and massive enemies with your friends I think would be really cool, but fighting against each other whilst riding dragons, while it sounds cool, I don't think it would work that well. Other suggestions I would have, a bigger variety of locations. I can't believe the amount of recycled dungeons and layouts that we used in the second Dragon Age. Dragon Age Origins wasn't as big an offender, but I still think more can be done in terms of multiple routes and just in general really distinct features of each location to make them more memorable. A real wide variety is necessary, I think. And a couple of technical things. Obviously improved graphics. I'm not exactly a graphics whore, but the Dragon Age series kind of looks a bit dated in terms of graphics. I appreciate the fact that not every game can look incredible, but I'm sure they can squeeze more out of the engine than they have done. I mean, Mass Effect is a similar game in size and scope, yet it looks considerably better. So I think that there's a lot of room to maneuver, and if they really put some effort in, then they can improve the graphics considerably. And also, load times are insanely high. Whether they can improve that with improving the graphics also, I don't know. But that's one thing I would definitely like improving. Not imperative, but when you're travelling from location to location, it starts to become really noticeable. But they are more or less minor things. They're something that can be put on the back burner. The main aspects I would like improving are the ones I alluded to previously in terms of the game design. Now, many may think that I have been unnecessarily harsh on Dragon Age 2. I still really enjoyed Dragon Age 2, it felt so disappointing compared to the first. I'm not saying make Dragon Age 3 just Dragon Age Origins 2. Obviously give it its own identity, but stick to what made Dragon Age so popular in the first place, and that was going back to its roots of a classic Western RPG style, and that's basically what I think more or less every Dragon Age fan would like. I'd say innovate without reinventing the wheel. That would be the most appropriate term. And on that note, I shall bid thee a good day. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please subscribe. I always do wish lists every week. There's much more coming in the pipeline, so stick around, and thanks for your time.